We want to thank our amazing sponsor, the Rope Drop Queen herself, Michelle McKnight. She is a destination specialist with touring plans and can help you plan an amazing vacation. Whether it's Disney, Universal, a cruise, or an all-inclusive, she can help you with booking, planning, and strategizing to help you have an incredible experience at a great rate. Contact her today at michelle@touringplans.com. Now, on to the show.
Helping you navigate the Disney parks.
With the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.
You're listening to Rope Drop Radio.
Welcome to another Rope Drop Radio. Very special episode. Derek and Doug here. We literally just got off the Galactic Starcruiser. We're going to be talking all about it. We're actually sitting in the Contemporary right now. Found a little quiet corner. We're so excited. We didn't even get back to the studio. We're like, we got to record this show now.
Right. We're in the convention area of the Contemporary, and it's the Saturday before Easter, so no conventions going on.
So if you hear a little background noise, that is what it is. So got the portable podcasting equipment out. We had a wonderful time. This is going to be our spoiler-free episode of our Galactic Starcruiser, and we actually already recorded on board our spoiler full episode, which will be coming out in a couple days.
Yes, so we're going to give you a lot of logistics, a lot of that sort of stuff, what you need to know going into it if you already have it booked and you don't want the storyline spoilers. Also, if you're thinking about booking, this is a great episode for that. And if you're just curious about it, stay with us. But first, some patrons, Derek.
Yes, 2 new Patreons while we were on board. Thank you so much, Amanda Betton and Ryan M., for joining the Rope Drop Radio community, getting definitely some bonus episodes that we recorded while we were both on board and then at the park. So you'll hear more about the trip that we took beforehand. But yeah, some good stuff. And thank you to all of our Patreons for supporting the show, interacting with us on this trip. It's been a lot of fun, and you guys are awesome. So thank you so much for supporting.
Yes, and today, no Apple Podcast reviews to read, so make sure you're leaving some Apple Podcast reviews. We'll get to those on air when we're back in studio, but let's get to it. Let's talk Arrival, Derek. We had a rental car, and we just drove around too, but I think it starts with a message we got on our phone at Pop Century.
Yeah, it was really great job, by the way, Doug, checking the blinking light and then getting the message. I would have skipped it completely, but we found out that staying on property, you are able to get a late departure, and they will shuttle you to the Starcruiser.
Yeah, so they left a message at Pop Century. We never told them we were staying there. We just linked it to the same reservation, right? We got the message saying, come to the Halcyon at 1. We'll give you a late checkout of noon. I don't know how many times I've asked for a late checkout at Disney World and never got one. And here they're like, here, take it. However, we didn't wait until 1 to go to the Halcyon, did we?
No, we were too excited. I'm surprised we got there when we did, because we even had to putz around a little bit. We got there at 11:20 on the dot, and we were worried we were going to get turned away.
I thought it was 11:39.
Oh, I have 11:20, and we walked in. Yeah, we pulled in. I actually looked at the picture right before. But yeah, you can start getting in and start lining up at 11, but they are pretty particular. They will not let you start getting into the building till about 12:45, closer to 1 o'clock.
Yeah, they did say that our friend Matt,
yes,
Matt Alorian on Twitter, he works security there, and they open the gates where you can first pull in your car at 11. Now, when we did pull up, they offered to get us a cab to take us to Disney Springs, so we didn't have to wait until 1. However, we stood in the line. There was about 8 people ahead of us or so, but we were in the very first transport up to the spaceship, and we were perfect. So we didn't wait nearly as long as the people in front of us. Grant, the first person in line had on a Batman shirt, which they were first in line with a Batman shirt. So it wasn't bad waiting. It's going to get hot and steamy though in the summer.
Yeah, and shout out again to Matt, who we had a great conversation with and definitely helped us get ready for the cruise. He's been on the show before, and we're definitely going to have him back on the show down the road, because he's got some good stories, especially with people on the Halcyon. So, Matt, I know you're listening to this. Cannot wait to have you back on, because there's some experiences that you need security for.
Yeah. So Arrival was really smooth. They valet your car for you. You don't pay for that. They take your luggage from you, similar to a regular cruise. A lot of it has a regular cruise sort of feel and vibe, but not quite, because you don't go through customs. You don't have to have your passport. I felt like I was missing paperwork. Like I didn't have to have a test or proof of a test. Where cruising right now is so many papers and so many like QR codes. This was not. It was very easy. They gave us our magic bands when we got out of the car, and it's my new forever magic band. It will for always be on my hand.
Yep, definitely. I'm so happy. They started the experience so well. The music, just getting there, and then of course getting on the ship. No spoilers, but it is definitely an experience in its own. The one thing they really went above and beyond is the show elements to make you feel immersed right away.
Yes, and so then you get out of the transport into the halcyon, and they greet you. Each person gets greeted by their own individual person, and they take you directly to your room. We're like halfway down the hall, and Derek jokes about, "Oh, we're gonna go to the end of the hall," and she's kind of like, "Yeah."
McKnight room. You know I don't get those when I don't stay with you.
Yeah, that's true. It's just where I get put. So we weren't the last room, but we were pretty darn close. And then we get there, and our magic bands don't work.
McKnight thing. So, but we were able to get into the room, and let's talk about the room. Wow. I'm sure you guys have seen pictures online. We posted pictures and videos. It does not do it justice. You really do feel like you're in a room on space. You walk in, it is just incredible. Very Star Wars feel. You have your own personal droid video that interacts with you. You have the space windows, so you can open and close that. By the way, at night, it is the most pitch black room I have ever slept in my life.
It's exactly like an inside stateroom on a cruise ship. Exactly. Just it's dark. So if you need some light, have something that your phone can do, some ambient light, like a night light, or bring a night light. I was kind of surprised there wasn't one in our bathroom. Maybe there was, and we accidentally turned it off. I don't know. There was lots of switches, kind of like a cruise ship. The color scheme I loved. It matches my shoes right now, to be honest. The bed was really comfortable. I can't speak to the bunk beds, though. That's you, Derek.
Yeah, so I took the bottom bunk, and it was, I fit. So I'm 5'4". If you're about 5'7", you're having a hard time in that bunk.
Right, Matt said he fits in it. I don't know how. Caddy corner?
Maybe.
It had to be. But he also was in the Navy and slept on a ship in the Navy, so I don't think we can trust his opinion on bunk beds. He's not... Once you're in the Navy, you're not a normal civilian anymore when it comes to beds.
But I still slept on it. It was a little more firm than what I was hoping, but I still slept fine. Probably because we were exhausted. You definitely do. It's a small ship, but you do walk a lot, and you will get your calories burned.
Yeah, the one really cool thing is, unlike the Disney Dream, where it could take you 5 to 7 minutes from any point on the ship to get back to your room, not counting waiting on an elevator. We only took the elevator twice, and it was more just because we hadn't yet, because we are on the 7th deck, which is the top floor, and we could be on the bottom floor in the dining room from our room, which was down the hall, in about a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's definitely smaller than what I thought it was going to be. I mean, and even being on the outside of the building, I'm like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't even realize that is a hotel.
Yeah, and there's only 100 rooms, and they only fill 99 of them, so they leave one spare in case there's some reason to move somebody.
Which, yeah, if the toilet backs up or something breaks, you got to have something to put them in. And talking to Matt, I mean, all the rooms are booked full. Our cruise was full. All the cruises have been full, and it's definitely selling out every single sailing. It does have a cruise feel. The whole time I was like, this does have a DCL feel to it. If you love DCL, this is another fun one to do.
Yeah, it has that cruise feel. And what is a cruise? Oh, one more thing about the room. The outlets. For some reason, Derek doesn't travel with a charging plug, just his USB cord, because he assumes everywhere is going to have plugs for him to plug in his USB. There was one in the entire room.
Only one.
I don't even understand. The benches in the atrium, which the atrium is gorgeous, lovely. They did a great job with the atrium. The benches had 4 to 6 USB plugs in them in the atrium.
I even hunted like through our room, like hands and knees, like there's got to be more than one. Nope, only one. So my watch is at like 40% right now.
And the TV's in the wall, So you can't
And
even
use the
do
back
the
of that.
back of the TV type hack. So take your actual plug, Derek. It's a life lesson that I thought you've learned.
Nope, still haven't learned that one. Obviously, I didn't forget it, but it definitely needed. I assumed things you assume that a Galactic Starcruiser would have is USB ports.
And then this morning, as we're packing, like, oh, I had an extra one the whole time I had a plug. However, the way they have the plugs arranged are like catty corner from each other, so you can't actually plug two things in at once. There's two outlets, but you can't use them both at the same time. So bizarre. Only real complaint about the room. Otherwise, the bathroom's great. Everything's really nice. Enjoyed the room.
The shampoo is attached to the shower, so
just
I
the thing
kind
now.
of thought that you'd get your own little shampoos and soaps, and I was wrong on that assumption.
No, that really is an environmental reason, I think. I don't think it's money on that point. I think that is where they can say, hey, look, we're doing this for the environment, because it is huge on reducing plastic. So I'm pretty confident that's why, not because they're being cheap like almost everything else Disney does. But it's a cruise. It's a
cruise.
You can tell a cruise person did not design the room, because there's no extra little shelves, no little things like that. Plus, you don't have movement, so you don't have the rails. But because it's a cruise, we got to talk about food. Food. Let's start with our first lunch when we first got on board.
Definitely the cafeteria, quick service. If you've seen any pictures online, it is food that is very unique and very themed. Also, Doug has a hard time eating on this cruise ship, and by hard time eating, I would usually have my food and I'm done before he's even done talking to the chef about food allergies that they think you made up halfway through.
You know, you could have waited for me once. Could have.
No, I was eating. I was hungry. Well, I did wait, and then it was so ridiculous at times that I'm just like, yeah, I'm committed. I need to eat this.
So it's only been open for what, a month and a half, and then some dude's standing there going like, I can't eat pistachios, and they're like, oh, well, we dusted this with pistachios, this has pistachio dust, oh, this has a mango infusion, this, like, it's like they came across like a crate of pistachios and mangoes for free. We're like, let's put it in everything. I think I could eat 40% of the food without modification. And when they offer to modify things for me, I'm very quick to say no thank you, because then they give me the full allergy treatment, even though I can eat gluten, I can have dairy. But once they go to modify, they go into their this isn't going to kill anybody mode, and I don't personally need that, and so I don't usually make them do it. But I had plenty to eat. I wasn't hungry. The grilled cheese thing, like the bubble waffle on the first day lunch, was probably my favorite lunch. It had a cheese dip sauce. It was great. I love that. I love grilled cheese. Maybe that's
They
it.
had a ham and cheese sandwich. Like, all the food is what you would find, but with like unique flavors, textures, and of course look. Like nothing
color.
looked normal. Like the blueberry muffin I had this morning had like purple pistachio dust
Yes,
on
I
it.
couldn't have
Like it's like literally pistachio dust that was food dyed purple. A lot of food dyes.
Different?
It did not taste good.
See, it's just they're just adding things for looks and flair, and that's what I was allergic to, the looks and flair, which isn't that big a deal. The dinner the first night, if we want to transfer to dinner, there my allergy was a bigger issue. So if you're new to the show, I'm allergic to mangoes, cashews, and pistachios. That's it. No other nuts, not tree nuts, just those. Those are all three fruits. The Bayo buns came out first, and they brought me two sad little buns with no sauce, no salad, and then Derek got what looked like a 3-course meal just for his appetizers.
And those Bayo buns were phenomenal. One was steak, one was chicken, and then one was curry. It was a little unique.
It wasn't steak. It was bantha meat.
Oh, bantha meat. Yes,
That's
the
the
other
other thing. You
thing.
didn't really know
Everything.
what you
Yes,
were
I ate a lot of bantha. I didn't even know I liked bantha, but I do now.
That was the other, like, for somebody with an allergy like mine, where I can read ingredients and figure it out if they tell me what's in it. But when they give it all Star Wars names, you can't. So the chefs were usually really good at talking to me. One of them, I kind of felt like this dude just doesn't like these flavors and wants to avoid them, like, kind of vibe. But the rest of the chefs were great at talking to me. But yeah, Derek would be done eating lunch and breakfast before I had my food. However, dinner, they prepared it. They were ready ahead of time with my allergy, so my food came out at the same time, which is awesome, because sometimes, like Like, we went to Cape May last summer on our rope drop trip, and the guys, everybody else was done eating basically when I finally was like, yes, you can eat that.
Also, your question about the allergy sticks, they are not an Arabesh. They actually are the same allergy sticks. That was what you were wondering.
So wanted an Arabesh allergy stick. I'd have it like behind my ear or something, like a pencil, for days. I would have loved that, an Arabesh allergy stick. But I get why they didn't do that, because you need to know it says allergy. That is one thing that, you shouldn't theme, and that was about the only thing not themed on the whole Starcruiser. Yep. How was the rest of dinner?
I was going to say the dessert was incredible, except Doug had to get the allergy-friendly dessert. So
they brought me something. So we had a steak basically in between there, right?
Yep.
Dinner was really, there was some sesame chicken, some weird-looking rice. That was night 2. That's night 2. The night 1 was the steak, and then the dessert I couldn't have, so they brought me the allergy-friendly dessert, which looked like Derek's dessert if it got melted and spread around the plate. Would that be a good description?
That's about it, and it tasted terrible.
I took a huge bite, and I regret that still 2 days later. I let Derek try it.
It was really bad. It was like, I don't even know what it was. Some of the desserts that Doug got, like the sunflower thing that you got. That was
So they had a sunflower. They don't call it a sunflower cookie. They called it a cookie. And it's the girl that was telling me about it was not the chef, but she was in the kitchen while we were waiting on the chef. She's like, I know you can have this one because it's the 10 most common allergy friendly. And I actually tried my best. I didn't stop her to say, like, I don't have the 10 most common allergies. So if it could have been 10 most allergy friendly made out of mango, still would have killed me. But if anyone ever offers you something that does not have the 10 most common allergies, just politely say, no, thank you.
It was the weirdest cookie I've ever tasted. Like, it looks like chocolate, so your brain's like, oh, this is going to be chocolate. And maybe for a second you're like, this tastes like chocolate, but then it kicks in and you're like chewing on a sunflower seed paste in the middle. By the end, it's just like, what am I eating? My body won't even digest this. It was one of the worst cookies I've ever had. And it's kind of the whole thing. Like, in our second night.
I've had worse. Second night, I got to eat almost everything, though. Yes. I got the bread service, which was good, which meant they did understand my
Ironically, that's where I couldn't eat it.
And because the cheese was awesome. You probably ate more than you should have, but it was Mustafarian themed for the second night. It was around different planets. So the appetizer was Mustafar, then the bread service was Mustafar. The appetizer was Felucia, where we got the blue shrimp. Felucia is a very forested planet, and then we got Kashyyyk steak, and we there was
it was not Wookiee steak, for the record.
No, we were not eating Wookiee. And then there was I think it was sea bass. They didn't actually tell us what kind of fish it was. It had a Star Wars name, but I'm pretty sure it was sea bass. Derek did not like the sea bass. It was good though. It was very similar to what you get on DCL and Enchanted Garden, or like Tiana's or Rapunzel's. And then the tip yet you could add the chicken, and we did. I mean, why wouldn't we want all the meats? Why would we opt to get less food? And then the dessert, I didn't get one part of a jelly thing, but the food was really good. It's almost DCL level. It's not though, because one of the things that holds it back significantly is they serve it family style. So when you serve it family style, you lose a lot of the garnishing, the presentation. But the desserts were served individually, but all the other dishes were served family style. I think for dinner, they need to go to individual plating, family style. Like, for the premium service that you're there for, family style just doesn't seem to fit.
I agree. Now, they did have a kids menu, thankfully, because I
should have gotten.
I texted my wife. I was like, I don't know what my kids would eat on here. Like, I was struggling a little bit at times, and so my kids don't like anything that looks weird. But they did have a kids menu. I mean, the one lunch they had mac and cheese and tip-yip chicken bites.
The mac and cheese was at both lunches, and it was really good mac and cheese, very creamy. I loved it. They also had the tip-yip, which is chicken in Star Wars, nuggets in there. I think the kids menu would have been fine. They had that grilled cheese. I mean, my kids would have been fine, and my kids are obnoxiously annoying when eating. I think kids will survive. The blue shrimp. Let's talk about that, Derek. How was it?
I had half a bite. I'm not a big shrimp cocktail guy, but man, they put a lot of blue dye on that because my fingers actually had a little bit of blue on them. But it was really cool when they served it and it had the dry ice and the infusion. I mean, it was so cool.
The presentation was better than the taste. I almost worry that they're raising shrimp somewhere in blue dye. Like, there's this farm somewhere specifically for these shrimp.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, shrimp.
They also did have a halcyon waffle, so instead of a Mickey waffle, you're getting a halcyon waffle. So somehow they overcooked them.
All of them.
All of them.
Both days.
Yep.
Both days. And they're not much better at scrambled eggs than DCL. So they took some cues from DCL, and it's good and bad.
Definitely some interesting choices when it comes to eating, and then you feel bad when they take your plate away and there's still food on it. You're like, oh, there's... Yeah. I wish I would have ate it. But we tried. We tried everything. And then there was 2 other dining experiences. They had snacks out in the afternoon, evening on the front desk that were goldfish and whatnot, Rice Krispies. We also, after things happened, I'll leave it at that, you have a dessert party. And that was some of the best food I could eat. They had the popcorn.
Popcorn was like the perfect amount of saltiness and flavor. They had a gelato, and they had it was almost just like eating frosting. It was like the gray stuff, but purple. And there was some other stuff. That was where Derek enjoyed the allergy-friendly cookie. That's like a sunflower. And there was other things I couldn't eat. Was there anything else that stood out to you?
They had some chocolate mousse things that were really good as well. And the other place we ate, of course, was on Batu at Docking Bay 7. We've eaten there a bajillion times. I joke that my food goes up $1 every time I go there. And I was right again. It actually did go up $1 since the last time I ate there. But the one thing that we did, they said you can use the mobile order. Doug and I actually rope dropped it at 11 and just went up to the counter and ordered. That way we made sure it got billed to the Halcyon. It does come with an alcoholic drink, but it does not come with a dessert, which I thought was weird. But we both got the roast, the rib roast.
The roast with it's a stir fry now instead of like mashed potatoes. We got the most expensive thing on the menu because we could. So that pretty much sums up the food. So when we got on, one thing that they kind of have a muster drill, just like a cruise, kind of a sailing away party like a cruise. And then you have a family of the day on a cruise. Guess who is the family of the day?
The rope drop crew was announced in front of everyone, so huge shout out to Matt Alorian again for hooking us up with that. That meant Doug and I got to go on the bridge by ourselves and put the ship into hyperspace to go to Batu. While everyone watched us do it, they did a big countdown, kind of like a sail away party. But yeah, really honored and really cool experience. They took our pictures, we posted some of those, so really fun that we got to be that special guest. I'm sure it was meant for like a little kid, but we were little kids at heart.
I mean, earlier cruisings, I don't think it was meant for a little kid, right? But by the time we went, they probably would have picked some cute child. Instead, they got 2 middle-aged guys pulling a lever.
Do you want to talk about kids for a second?
Let's jump to that.
Yeah,
kids.
There were a lot of kids on the sailing. In fact, we were told by multiple crew members that we had the most kids that they had yet.
By far. Yeah. And some crew members, I think, were fine with that. Others were not. Same thing with the passengers. Some were fine.
Yeah, if you're thinking this is a no kids cruise, you are mistaken. A lot of families. In fact, there was a newborn baby on there, which still
that one blew my mind. That would not. The lady looked like she was having zero fun the entire trip.
Yeah. Just carrying a newborn baby. I don't even know where the husband's like super into Star Wars. That's actually my favorite people.
Off doing stuff.
Yeah,
and she was just like trying to keep it together with kids.
That was actually my favorite groups of people, where you have one person super into Star Wars and then the other one's not at all, and it's just like, here we go. But yeah, kids of all ages. They do have the kind of a kids club.
It's kind of room. There's no dedicated space. They just met up randomly. Mm-hmm. The Lothcat crew.
Yep.
I'll say it because Derek can't say Lothcat. It's funny. He can't. Just try it, Derek.
Lothcat. I can do it now.
did after I
Lethal.
said
It's
it
hard when they do a lot of things like droid racing, and they do follow around whenever the droid is out. The kids just surround that droid. He can't even move. But the one big thing is kids do interact with the cast members and characters a lot more. And I know seeing it go forward, that is definitely going to be a challenge.
They'll figure it out, because I mean, this was the first one with that many kids, so they had to have learned some things about that. I mean, they can only improve upon what they're already doing, which they're already doing a spectacular job. But yeah, so don't be afraid to take your kids. But I will say, if you do take your kids, remember, you still have to parent.
Yeah. So a lot of kids were just running around. Like, we were about to do an experience one night, and you had to like check in to do this experience. You had to do tasks to be able to do this experience. So we were on the list. And as we're walking in, like 10 kids just rushed into the room, and the cast member outside was like, I don't know what to do.
Because it's really hard to tell a kid, no, you can't do that because you didn't unlock this in your app while you were on Batu, right? They're not going to understand that. Plus, one of the problems they have with the app is some kids can't do it. Like, a 5-year-old cannot operate this app and do the thing, so they'll do it with their parent. And then when you check into these special events, well, mom's on the list, but the kid isn't. So then they're like, well, you could tell some cast members were struggling with what they should do with that.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of kids. I mean, I'm looking forward to taking my kids sometime, but definitely going to wait till they're a pinch older, I think. Definitely. And be in Star Wars. I mean, some of them definitely were into Star Wars, dressed up, did all the things, and then some were in Stitch like clothes.
I'd say the kids that were into it the most were the 8 to 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
That age range. Once you hit 12, it takes a special child. Like, right personality, but you get the tween years. Ugh, the tween years.
Well, and let's talk about costuming real quick. I think that was something that we hear. We're in a couple of Facebook groups for the Starcruiser, and a lot of people ask how many people dress up. Well, there are people that go all in. I mean, we had people that were face painted head to toe, like in character. Three people
out of 100 rooms, 3 people face painted. So there's your percentage.
Body painted,
Whole thing.
like whole thing.
Like,
and there are people that go way above and beyond. Then there's people that don't do anything. Nike
Batman.
shirt guy and Batman guy.
Hoodie. Like, the teenagers are like, "Ugh, my parents are taking me on a vacation. How dare they?" Right?
Yeah, and I think it's more fun to dress up. And Doug and I were the Galactic Fly Fishermen of the Galaxy,
Right.
and we just had vests and then non-logoed shirts. But definitely there are people that go above and beyond, make it really fun, make it interesting. Yeah, it costs a little bit more, but there's something about the immersion. And also, cast members kind of interact with you a little bit more when you are dressed up and playing the game.
Yeah, you don't think you have to paint your face, though, or go crazy. I think our level of dress didn't really do a lot, but it made the cast member easier for him to remember who we were.
Yep.
It's also why we dressing consistently for both days, I think, is good, because like at the end, like one cast member had us do a certain task because he remembered what we did on bridge training, type of thing.
Side note, we'll keep it a little spoiler free. Doug and I are very good on the bridge. Like, we dominated everyone else.
Yeah, sorry, Brendan, we beat you.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Brendan, whoever, 12-year-old listening to the show. But yeah, Doug and I work really well as a team doing all the tasks. But yeah, let's jump into the storyline. We won't go into storylines, but the key is there are multiple storylines, and you only unlock so many from what you pick.
And you don't like pick, I want to be a Jedi, I want to be Resistance, I want to be that. They ask you questions, and how you answer them determine where it goes. And you can't do all the storylines. So you're going to have to go on this thing like 4 times to experience everything. It's impossible to do Jedi and Resistance, or Resistance and First Order. You just can't do it, because as you answer the questions, it takes you down your path, and that determines what gets unlocked for you.
Yeah, like Doug and I missed all the Jedi stuff. And like, I jumped on this morning looking at spoilers, because we kept it spoiler free for us. And it's like, oh, we missed this whole thing on the ship. So yeah, you don't pick. It's just how you go. And the big tip that we can give, interact with the characters on board. And that, like, I wish you and I would have done that earlier, and I think we would have unlocked a few more things.
You were weirdly being not as extroverted as normal on the first night, which I don't understand what happened there. But, like, still, though, had we gone down and talked to, say, we pushed the Jedi side of it more, we would have missed some of the bridge and engineering stuff that we did do, and clearly we were good at it. I mean, we were expert level.
We were. So, like, one of the couples that we talked to, they turned around and booked another sailing for September because they're like, we need to get back on. And I think that's something I'm thinking about. I'm like, oh, I missed these things because I started this path. It makes me want to go back on. So Disney did a great job with making people want to get back on the ship and do a different thing.
With attractions, we talk about rewritability. Like, this has a high rate of rewritability if you're talking about it as a ride. That was one question, like, how can they keep filling this up? Well, because we did 1/4 of it, really.
Yeah, there's all sorts of subplots in that you follow throughout the thing. So you got a main plot, and then you have all these side subplots, and then they slowly come together. And even though it's only a 40-hour, 42-hour experience, it does amaze me as how many things are actually happening.
Mm-hmm. And we're not sure how they could make it longer, but they could. And then you get to know the other cruisers better. Really enjoyed meeting some of the people we met. Some fantastic people. If you're listening, thank you for listening. Also, thanks for interacting with us and our intergalactic fly fishermen. So we got to go on an excursion. It's a cruise ship. And also that morning of going to Batu, it felt so much like the ship pulled up at, like Castaway. Maybe not Castaway. Yeah. But Bahamas. So we're in Nassau, right? Felt like that. How did we get there, Derek? First, what time did they tell us we could get there?
Yeah, that's what was funny is that on the app, it's like, hey, you can get off the ship at about 9:40. 9:40.
Which is exactly what DCL does with Castaway.
Yeah. And so Hollywood Studios is open 7:30 for early magic at the moment.
I think it was
8. So it's still early, and and Doug's like, no, I bet we can get off earlier. So Doug and I literally rope dropped, and we weren't even the first ones off.
We weren't the first ones, but we were pretty darn close, and it was still in that first half hour operate. It must have opened at 8:30, so early entry was at 8, and so we were in that early entry. And it was so empty, and we got a lot done in Batu before other people even got done with breakfast.
Yeah, they slept in and got off world late. Definitely did feel like cruise ship. Getting there is a really fun experience. So getting from the ship to Batu in itself is an experience that is totally worth it.
That transport, you've seen pictures of the outside of it on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. I don't care what it looks like on the outside. This is what's on the inside that matters.
Holy crap. It was cool and a lot of fun and definitely kept you immersed. So yeah, you get to Batu, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have been to Batu. We did ride Rise of the Resistance, but we had
got sent there. We were told to go on Rise. We were told because you have to keep interacting through the app, through the communications that you're getting. So we had 3 big tasks. One ended us up at Oga's where we got slipped a little thing, and that was the coolest interaction. And we were told to go on Rise. We were told to go on the others, and that's what opened up some of the stuff in the evening for us. Plus, you have tools, so we had to hack, scan, and translate and tune
a lot of things. It kind of got old really fast after a while because you're doing the same hack over and over and over again. So that was my only negative. I wish there was more interaction. Like the one interaction we had at Oga's, I'm like, have 2 or 3 of these and you are going to up the level of the Batu experience for sure. And the Falcon, if people are wondering that spending this kind of money will guarantee you pilot, it does not. Doug and I were engineers.
We could have been pilots, right? We gave it up to the other family.
It was a family of 4, and then we're a family of 2, and so they're like grade 6.
Yeah. So they had us in the pilot spot, but we let the other 2 pilot, and they were next to us at dinner, so we had talked to them a little bit. And so the mom and the son flew. It was fantastic because they were a lot like our family. They just yelled at each other the whole time. It was
and we yelled at them too. It was fun. Right, and then we yelled at them at dinner, and I stumbled off the ship and made it very dramatic because that's what Derek does.
Yeah. It was rough. It was a rough flight. We only got one coaxium.
Yeah, it was not as bad as my kids, but it was pretty bad.
Man, the kids were letting mom have it with her flying.
Yeah, so Batu is definitely a fun experience. We only stayed in the Star Wars area. I know some people spend some time going around Hollywood Studios, which is something you can do because there is not a lot. We got on the ship at about noon. There is not a lot on board the ship between noon and 3. We played a game like Bingo,
Right? Bingo.
which Doug and I both won.
Sector.
It was Bingo in space. But the fact that you and I won, and I came from behind, got the last one.
There was also an icebreakers game, like get to know your cruisers and stuff like that.
It felt like a cruise ship, most anything that I've ever done in my life. It felt more like a cruise ship playing this than it did being on a cruise ship playing Bingo.
Right. Yeah. Other thing that was very cruise-like was being able to go get a drink and, throughout the day, like the soda and the unlimited blue and pink milk and, green, pink. Pink would be better. Probably. Let's go with pink. It'd be strawberry. Sorry, I'm just used to quick. But one of the people that we met on board while we're sitting here recording it commented on a Facebook picture about the blue milk, and Michelle, who's with Peggy, evidently loved it. Oh. I worry about taste buds if you're liking that. I don't know.
I got one glass of each on the first dinner. And I could 2 drinks. I did a drink at the beginning. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to eat my dinner. I'm going to give it another try. It's so bad. Wes, I don't know how you do it.
I don't know. Wes could earn his money back in blue milk. Yeah. Because when we were here last June with Wes, he paid for 2 blue milks. That's like $16, isn't it? Yeah. Like, think of how much blue milk he'd drink. And those cups in Galaxy's Edge are not big. You can fill up a huge cup of blue milk. I don't know what that does to your insides, but it can't be right.
Speaking of drinks, that probably messed up our insides a little bit. We did have some alcoholic beverages while we were there. Thank you, Anthony, for sponsoring a couple drinks for Doug and I to try. We definitely had a few. I definitely had the Pod Chaser, which is an old-fashioned, really good old-fashioned, by the way. And Doug, you had a couple drinks. You had a lemon drink that was hilarious.
Yeah, the lemon rum. It was like a sour head exploded into an alcoholic beverage with foam.
And all the drinks, like Oga's, had a unique Star Wars, Mark of the Huntress, which is a bourbon mixed drink, and they had a Mustafar tequila drink. So everything had its own Star Wars twist on it. So I really enjoyed that. There were people that drank on the ship as soon as the bar opened to it closing. Doug and I just kind of did dinner and then one after the things at night.
Yeah, nothing too crazy for us, but there was plenty of people drinking. The other weird thing is there was always empty seats in the Sublight Lounge, except at the one and only sabacc table.
That sabacc table bothered Doug the whole time because it's only 4 people, and Doug wanted to learn how to play, and we could never get a table there. And they even promote having sabacc tournaments, and we
were a little late, and I thought she had all kinds of cards in there. Like, she just let us play off to the side, teach ourselves. She's like, no, there's a table up in the Sublight Lounge. So, but at dinner the first night, the music was great.
That's technically the show. So we got blessed with the famous Gaia, who's making a performance stop on our ship with all of her luggage. They made a big deal about all of her luggage, and that comes back into play later, we found out. Yeah. So, but she was phenomenal, walking around, singing, and being just a personality on the ship as well. And you can do autographs with her, and it just... really a phenomenal experience. People complaining about there's not enough entertainment on the ship. That is the entertainment.
Yeah, and the other musician was in the atrium a lot, interacting with you, writing songs. Derek helped write a song.
It was called Worst Order. And what I love... Oh, okay. Well, that I don't think that's on every ship or every sailing, so maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll have to do it again to see if my song became a hit. But he had a whole subplot, that musician. And so it's really fun. If you really interact with the characters, you really do become part of the story.
Yes, you do. I think it's time for pros and cons. Well, we've done all the pros. What were a few things that you'd tweak and change if you could, Derek?
I think the big one you and I both agree on, and a lot of the guests, that there needs to be a spa.
Spa. Yeah, because there were so many spouses that were there with their husbands that were like just in the moment, not paying attention. Like the arm could have been chopped off, they wouldn't notice, and the spouse was just kind of like, okay, just there.
And how much money would that spa generate?
We were in one of the rooms, kind of just wandering around, and there was a lady just sitting in there drinking wine in the engineering room, and that's where we discussed there should be a spa, and she's like, I've been saying that since I got here.
Definitely a spa.
$1,000 in the spa.
A better kids club, like an actual kids club thing to make it more not kid friendly, but just because so many parents.
Then they could have their own storylines and their own meets with characters, right? In the club, kind of like they do on the cruise line. I think when they were coming up with this, I don't think they thought as many people would bring their kids. I honestly think they thought it would be like the first couple sailings, very few kids, but now it really is a lot like a DCL cruise. So I don't think they thought that would happen. But yeah, they'll have to add on a spa and a dedicated kids club. The kids club won't have to be big. There's only 100 rooms on the ship. It doesn't need to be huge. Like classroom size would take care of it.
Also, there's no trivia. Like on every DCL ship, there's Disney trivia. Why is there no Star Wars trivia? I get that it could mess with the timeline a little bit, but really, there's got to be a way to do trivia in space. That like bothered me the whole time.
Yeah, because on a real cruise, you have all kinds of trivia. The other thing that they didn't do that cruise line wise is you see the like towel folding activities and the craft activities. There was no craft activity, which also would have been good with all the kids, so that's something they could think about adding. Towel folding, there wasn't a folded towel in our cabin, so that was, I thought that last night we go in, we see like a Yoda folded up. That would have been cool.
I was shocked that there's no like tastings. Like how cool would it be to do tastings around the world, like around here's a bourbon from Coruscant,
there was definitely enough people not giving two hoots about the storyline.
Yeah.
They were just on vacation and just wanted to be on vacation. And they need the tastings. That's a great one, Derek.
That one actually cracked me up. The people that were there, and I'm like, do you even like Star Wars? What are you doing here?
There was one family, we're like, how'd they get this book? Because our sailing was not something you just accidentally booked because it like was open. You had to kind of have somebody in the know get it booked for you, and like you had to make a quick decision too, because there wasn't a lot of time from the date where you actually knew the actual price to where you needed to book it. So everybody on our sailing was kind of in the know, and there was families is like, are you sure you're in the right place? And there was also one big family that were confident they were a day late.
They had to have been.
And they all had a t-shirt we couldn't find. It was a t-shirt I wanted.
Yep.
This is exactly what I wanted, and they weren't selling it anywhere. And so it was almost like they lost their luggage and they were a day late.
And also the gift shop, for the record, is a lot smaller than I thought it would be, and it didn't really sell exactly what I thought. I mean, it has a lot of in-character stuff, so if you don't bring character costumes, you can definitely get them in the gift shop, which is a huge. And people did do that, but it didn't have all the swag that I was thinking there would be for like my kids. I mean, you think you're going to buy a Grogu thing on this ship? It's not happening.
No, and there's a gift shop after you get off, and it's great and all. They had a shirt that I wanted, but it was only in small or XXXL.
Like the belt. So I went back to the belt store, and they only had XXL and youth small. So the belt I wanted to buy, and thank you, some of my listeners, actually asked me on Messenger, and I'm like, nope, I did not fit either of those belts.
No, and so we were talking with Matt and Lorian as we were getting off the ship today at that gift shop, right? And I said, well, I'm going to have to get real dedicated to a diet if I buy that shirt. And he's like, or you just go the other way. That'd be easier.
Well, and then he did share with us how much money was made in that gift shop on the very first sailing. You remember that one?
The first 3 hours on the cruiser gift shop made what, $250,000 in 3 hours, and we spent $10 in the gift shop.
We both bought a pin, but that's a spoiler pin.
Yeah.
So only certain people get this pin. And well done, by the way, to get someone to spend money. We both got suckered in. It's like, okay, now I have to buy it. I mean, okay, yes. Well done on that storyline little buy a pin. I wish they had more things like that. I'm not going to lie, because I would probably spend more money.
Well, I wonder if like you went more down the Jedi route, if there was a Jedi pin.
Yes.
Like you kind of got sent to buy.
The fact that I had a resistance emblem on my vest is what even wardrobe and costuming, like that unlocks a few things when they see what direction, because there was a guy that was first order all the way, all in, and I actually want to talk to him about like what his path was, because I never saw him. Like he was doing completely different things than we were.
He was like playing sabacc with Kylo Ren or something. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
No idea. So that is the re-rideability, I think, for sure.
Oh, a pool might be a good, if they ever want to make this more than 2 days, you got to have a pool.
Yeah.
Kids need something to do. And then lastly, you can book this experience. It's limited availability, is booking right now throughout the end of the year, but 2023 is not out yet. So if you really want to do it, you get on the list, be ready for 2023.
Email Michelle right away, so she is in the know. There are some very limited ones for this year, but yeah, that's one where you just need to plan ahead and just talk to her. And thank you, Michelle, for doing this. It is Doug's birthday today, so this has kind of been a birthday trip, so it's been fun. It's been honored. So the big question that I have now gotten multiple text messages, even while sitting here, is it worth the price, Doug?
If you would have asked us after we got back from Batu, which we were the first ones to Batu, which means we were back quick, and if you would have asked us in a couple hours following the Batu excursion, we probably both would have said, that would be the answer. Yep. If you're a huge Star Wars fan, yes. If you're not, But after last night, without giving any spoilers away, yeah, it is. If you like Star Wars. If you don't like Star Wars, like if you can't name the characters in the original trilogy, do not come on the cruise.
Yeah, and it was really cool that every cast member or crew member has a backstory, has a planet, and like they will, like you talk to them about it, they will go back. And Doug and I realized right away that we needed to come up with a better backstory, because ours fell apart after about question number 2.
Right. Question number 2, they're like, yep, good try. Yeah. Like,
tell me about your ship, and I'm like, I don't even know.
Things. Also, shout out to the crew member from Naboo that we talked to. It was nice to meet you. And yeah, she did a fashion show for Derek. There's a spoiler. Listen to the spoiler show. You hear about Derek's fashion show.
I am fashionable. I'm also extroverted, so I did all the things. I had no problem yelling, cheering, getting involved, which I do think there is something about being more extroverted.
You did more of it on day 2. Yeah. Day 1, you didn't. You
I
didn't
want to do all the things. Like I was so. Here's the thing. I was confused. I wish they would do a little bit better explaining and they do have a thing with the app. But just like we went in with no spoilers, and so we didn't know anything.
But we had some advice, but like you got really in the app, like you were walking into walls practically, staring at your phone.
I actually hurt my shoulder, and I like, really bad.
Where you need to, it needs to be 50-50 with talking with crew and doing the data pad. The data pad not as important as I think you thought on day 1.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a key element. It is. It is definitely a key element, but I thought it's a unique experience. So asking me about the money and like taking my family, after the second night, I'm ready to book. I'm not going to lie. I really want to take my kids. I think my youngest is a pinch too young, but I definitely want to hit that gap where my older kids who are still into Star Wars right now. So maybe in a year and a half, 2 years, book this up for late 2023, maybe early 2024. Wondering if they're going to ever change the storyline a little bit to give that rewritability.
Heck, you just change cast members and it changes things. Yeah, your kids totally different ages than mine. I think Samantha would love to go right now. I don't see in its current variation my wife ever doing this, because she likes Star Wars. She does Star Wars attractions. She can name all the main characters, but she thinks it's weird I watch the cartoons. You need to be at the level where you can name some characters from the cartoons if you really want to enjoy this. I don't know that I'd take Claire or Alden right now in their tween, just general
phase.
Yeah, like everything I do is the most embarrassing thing on earth. Would I go next week with Samantha if we could afford it and have the time to do it? Absolutely.
Yeah, I would absolutely take my 2 older kids. I think they would have so much fun playing the games, interacting with characters. But it is expensive, and so to each their own. If you are a huge Star Wars fan, I think this is a must do. Like, if you eat and breathe, if you have a Star Wars basement, yes, you need to be on this thing and get on it soon. So talk to Michelle.
And in talking to people on the cruise, we talked to more people that were bigger Star Wars fans than Disney fans. And I think that surprised me a little bit. I think Disney's marketing was 100% geared more towards their Disney fans, because they had Disney bloggers, Disney influencers on. And that's probably not who they needed to advertise to. They had a few Star Wars people. I mean, just a handful, though, in comparison to the Disney blogs. We're a little bit of both. We cover Star Wars way more than most Disney things, even though our Disney or our Star Wars movie reviews are our least downloaded episodes.
They go on the Patreon page now.
Yeah, their Patreon page now, because we can't. Yeah, they just can't they can't cut it. But if you love Star Wars, even a little, you don't have to win a Star Wars trivia. I would say Derek and I would put. You said we were right in the middle on our Star Wars knowledge. I would say we're a hair below the middle. There was some kids on this cruise that I think would just destroy us in trivia, Star Wars trivia.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a little bit of background in Star Wars to get the most out of it, for sure. It did amaze me. You were right, though, that there were a lot of people on this that had never been to Batuu, or they only had one experience. Like, they were Star Wars fans, and now they're getting pulled into the Disney bubble because of this resort. And that's something you're right, Disney did not plan on. And like, people are like, oh, I've never been to Batuu. That was insane. That was incredible. And I'm like, that is an experience Doug and I didn't have, because I think I've been there, I don't know, 30 times. I was there opening week. So, and you were there opening day and for Rise and for Out West. So we've had the experiences, but yeah, if you haven't had those experiences and you're a Star Wars fan, by far, this is something you need to book and do.
Yeah, and the one family, they're like, now we got to come back and do the rest of Disney World, because this was so great. I'm like, okay, it's going to be a little different, but
yeah.
We didn't have to mess with Lightning Lanes, Genie Plus. The Fast Passes were just on our Magic Band for the 2 attractions. It was super awesome.
Overall, I had a great time. Glad we got to do this together for the show. Definitely put a lot of pictures and videos out there. And if you guys have any questions, let us know. I think we have a spoiler episode that's going to be coming out in a couple days. And then down the road, we might do a listener questions episode to be able to cover a little bit more.
Well, in any listener question episode, we can answer Starcruiser questions mixed in with regular park questions, DCL questions. That's the great thing about listener questions.
True. So, awesome. Well, we have to get to lunch. Doug has a birthday lunch at Steakhouse 71, and excited for that. So happy birthday, Doug. I'm glad we got to do this. Thank you, Michelle, not only for booking this, but for setting us up over Doug's birthday to be able to do it. So a fun way to celebrate. And absolutely, if you want to book this experience, talk to Michelle. Get on the list. She will help you get it all booked and ready to go. And it's a great one. So, and also, if you want to support the show, hit up our Patreon. We do have a bunch of Patreon episodes and stuff coming out. And one of the greatest pictures of all time, where I'm holding a balloon and Doug's holding me down, that everyone got to see and like. But yeah, a lot of fun things in there. And be sure to follow us at Rope Drop Radio. Leave a review, because we're going to get back to those next week. And absolutely, we had a great time. Book it. So for Doug, I'm Derek. You've been listening to Rope Drop Radio. May the Force be with you.